Today we're starting a new project, and it involves reviving this cricket club roller with parts from the Ransom mower you can see in the background. It stood on this spot at the cricket club for a very long time, and it used to have a shed over it, but that's long gone. First thing I need to do is pick it up and move it somewhere so I can get under it with the tines from the side. This is one of those classic jobs where you spend a lot of time thinking, how did I ever get persuaded to do this? The answer to that's quite simple really. My dad built it some 60 years ago. He was a very keen cricketer in his younger days, and apparently they needed a roller for the wicket. What better way to get one than to set to and make it yourself? It was originally powered by a Ford 8 car engine, but that failed after a period of time. It was probably worn out when it was put in, I should think, and somebody put this single-cylinder diesel engine in it. Since it stopped working, the roller has just stood. We've now got it secured on the tines so we can pick it up and carry it home. If you're wondering why I didn't load it on a trailer, there's the reason. Access in and out of the cricket pitch is extremely restricted. It's also very wet, and driving about with a big trailer wasn't really a good idea. So I decided to carry it. It's only about 1.5 miles. And we made it. I was a bit worried we were going to lose something. The front roller didn't look very secure, but it's still there. Let's take a better look at the project. This Ransom mower's pretty tired. Its days of cutting grass are long gone, but the bits I want are still okay. We'll use the engine, the transmission, which is a hydrostatic axle, and the power steering, along with a lot of other components, to turn this roller into a new machine. The next job is to get them into the workshop side by side so we can start to dismantle things and see exactly what we've got. Here we're stripping down the roller, removing all the bits we don't want. That includes the engine, the gearbox and the axle that sits underneath. If you're looking for any parts from an engine and gearbox like this, leave me a comment below and we'll see if we can help you. Hopefully we won't be needing the old steering box. The mower has its own hydrostatic steering system built into the transmission, and I'm hoping to adapt that to fit the roller. The original drive consists of a rear axle from some vehicle that I don't recognise, and it's had the diff locked up and one side of it removed, so it basically forms a 90-degree gearbox, and it's also quite useful because it's got the brake. If you see anything here in the axle that you need, just leave me a comment below and we'll see if we can sort you out. This is the original axle and transmission from the mower. We'll modify it hopefully to fit in the place where we've just removed the old rear axle from. I'll be needing this sprocket off the end of the old axle because it fits the chain that's on the main drive on the rear roll. We're going to modify it and make a new adapter plate so that we can fit it straight onto the back axle from the mower. That's the sprocket revitalised. Now we'll work on the laser cut plate that fits over the wheel studs on the hub of the mower. That's exactly the fit we're looking for. Next job is to machine a recess that goes over the centre boss of the hub. Right, we'll try them and see if they fit properly. Yes, that goes on there just right. Now what we need to do is machine a step in the outside of the plate to make room for the wheel nuts. We're very tight for room between the side of the roll chassis and the end of the axle. And here's a quick look at everything all finished off and in place. We'll move on now to shortening the axle. This piece of angle iron will form both the replacement cap for the end of the axle and the new axle mounting plate. We're retaining the original axle mounting plate on the right hand side, and we need to align this new plate so that the two are perfectly parallel. I'm using these two straight edges to double check, and then we'll weld this all up and try it back in the roll frame. That all fits in there quite nicely. Now we need to get it perfectly square and straight, and then we need to weld a new mounting bracket to the roller frame to line up with the angle iron that we cap the cut axle with. And there it is, one heavily modified Ransom mower axle and transmission installed in the old roller. Next we'll work out the best way to mount the engine and the optimum position for it. Now I can lower the engine into place, get it straight and square, and mark out the position for the engine mounts. They're going to sit in these holes that we're putting through with the hole saw in the mag drill. The engine mounts just drop nicely in the holes. Then all we need are the mounting bolt holes, and we're all fixed and ready for the engine. But before we do that, whilst it's nice and easy to get to, I've fit the power steering ram. That's the engine in and fixed down, and you'll notice we've added a pair of diesel tank brackets behind it. We're just going to lay out the powertrain between the flywheel and the hydrostatic transmission, just to see where everything's going to fit. I'll clean up the drive shaft on the end of the hydrostatic transmission and fit this taper lock sprocket. The matching sprocket will sit between this pair of bearings, and we'll move it from side to side to adjust the chain tension. Whilst I have a think about the drive and make sure I'm happy, I'll get the seat in place. This is the original radiator and housing from the mower, and I've modified it to fit within the width of the roller frame. Well, I think that's all looking okay. Leave me a comment below and let me know what you think. Right, well, I've decided how I'm going to do the chain adjuster for the transmission, and here we're just going to mill some slots in these angle irons that will sit inside the frame. Even on a simple little job like this, it's always best to do yourself a bit of a drawing and write some numbers down. You can see here I've even written down the numbers for the digital readout, and I'm working around the centre line in both directions, so all 4 slots will be exactly the same numbers on the digital readout, just the difference will be whether they're positive or negative. It makes life a lot simpler. I showed this old photograph momentarily at the beginning of the video, but I thought you'd like to know more about it. This is the roller immediately after my dad finished building it, and that's my aunt driving it, and that's on the same site as I'm repairing it on today. We think it's taken about 1960, just before the roller was delivered to the cricket club. So that's all for part 1 of the vintage roller restoration project. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, why not give us a like? We'll be back with part 2 as soon as we can, where we hope to have the engine running and maybe try the transmission and see if everything's going to work as it should. Don't forget to join us again next Sunday for one of our ever popular tractor videos. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon.